Hey, welcome to a grammar video on the active and passive verb forms, which I use to create the active and passive voice. So in this video we'll just have a look at an introduction, what we're talking about when we talk about active and passive sentences and active and passive verb forms. So in English we have different ways of presenting information and different ways of giving a viewpoint in our sentences, not always without losing meaning, I suppose you would say. So we can either have an active verb or a passive verb. So let's just go over what an active verb is, or an active sentence. Now, active sentences are what we mainly speak in, actually, and what we mainly write in. So they're nothing unusual, they're most often used. And so if you have a look at this sentence here, Harry ate the fish food. Obviously that was not a particularly good move on Harry's part to eat fish food. Maybe there wasn't anything in the fridge for him to get at, so he's gone for the fish food. So in this sentence we would say this is an active sentence with an active verb. So if we just identify the verb, in this case it is ate. In this case it is a past tense verb. So the verb is ate. So we say that this verb is an active verb. The reason we say that is to describe that we need to look at why it's active. And for that we need to identify the subject of the sentence. So the subject of the sentence is the noun that is doing the verb. So in this case it is Harry. Harry is our subject. He is the noun or the object that's doing the verb. He is doing the eating. Well, I suppose it's the past tense. So he did the eating. So in an active sentence, the subject, whatever the subject is actively doing the action, is actively doing the verb. So Harry is actively eating something. He was the one that did the eating. Not anyone else. He was the one doing the eating. And what did he eat? Well, for that we can have a look at our object, which is the fish food. So we would say that's the object of the active sentence because it is the noun that is being affected by the verb. It is the thing being eaten. The subject is the person or the object doing the eating. The object of a sentence is the noun, the thing, the object, the person that is being affected by the verb, in this case being eaten. So we'd say this is an active sentence because the subject, Harry, is actively doing the verb. He is doing the eating, or he did the eating. So if we have another look at another example here, the school arranged a visit, again in the past tense. If we pick out our verb, which is arranged, and who or what is doing the arranging? Well, it is the school, so that is our subject. And we can see that the school is actively doing the arranging. The school here is doing the arranging, so it's actively doing the verb. So we would say this is an active sentence. What is it actively doing? Well, it is arranging a visit. So this would be the object of the sentence, the thing that is affected by the verb. So you'll probably notice that most sentences you read in books are written in the active form, with the active form of the verb, where the subject is actively doing the verb or doing the action. So that's what the active is. Sometimes we want to change the viewpoint of our sentences though, and you often find this in formal reports. Government reports are full of them. Scientific writing is also full of these. This other voice that we use, another form, which is the passive. So the passive form of a verb, and again we need to identify the verb. In this case it is again eaten. So we've taken that original sentence, Harry ate the fish food, and we've turned that active sentence into a passive sentence. I suppose you would also say that was is now part of that verb phrase. So this is our verb, and again we identify the subject. Now that's slightly different in a passive sentence because it's not the thing doing the the action. And in this case, if we read it again, the fish food was eaten by Harry. The fish food was eaten by Harry. So in this case, the subject is not actively doing something, it is having something done to it. The fish food wasn't doing the eating in this case, it was being eaten. So in the passive form of a sentence, the subject is being acted upon by the verb instead of actively doing the action. And we sometimes have with the passive form, we sometimes have the person or thing that is responsible for the action. And in this case, we call it the agent, which is great. So this agent, Harry is an agent. But that is the name, the grammatical name we give for the person or the thing that is responsible for the verb in a passive sentence is the agent. It's not the object, it's the agent. So in a passive sentence, the subject is not actively doing the verb, it is being done to it. So in this case, the fish food is not actively doing anything, but it is being eaten. It is being eaten. Who's it being eaten by? Well, Harry in this case. So with the passive, we're almost switching around the sentence and we're changing the focus of the sentence. It has the same meaning essentially as the first one, but it is being changed around, so the focus is now on the fish food and actually the process of what's happening. So it's focusing on the eaten part of it. So if we have another example here, light is created or created without that, so let's just sort that out, is created by a light source. So once again, the verb in this is created, our verb. The subject is light, just generally light. And if we wanted to label it, the thing, well, we'll come on to that in a minute. But here you can see light is created by a light source. So the light, our subject, is not actively doing anything, but it's having something done to it. It is being created. So this would be our passive sentence with a passive verb because it is active. It is not actively doing something. It is having something done to it. In this case, it is being created. The light isn't doing the creating, it is being created. And what's it being created by? Well, the light source. So this is what we would call the agent of a passive sentence. It is the thing or person that is responsible for the action. And that is a sort of a very quick introduction into the differences grammatically of the active and the passive form of verbs, which make up our active passive sentences, which then make up our active and passive voice. So the difference being, in an active sentence we have the subject doing the action, and in a passive we switch it around and the subject now is having the action done to them or to it, and it changes the focus of the sentence slightly. So in the next video we'll look at how we can construct the passive form of a verb within a passive sentence from an active one, and in the video afterwards we'll have a look at why we use it, which is actually the most important part. Okay, excellent. So until next time, keep grammaring. Let's use that word, and keep having fun.